as I said before, I don't think the American people are going to go with an establishment voice. They're going to go, Americans have an instinctive knowing something's going on, something's coming up from the bottom of things. That's number one. And even if they do go for an establishment voice, no one who is entrenched within the perspective of the status quo is going to lead us out of the miasma that we are in now. That is my belief. If it is not your belief, I certainly honor that. I certainly welcome the opportunity that tonight in our discussion of issues, we can come from a place, whether we agree or don't agree, where you will give me an opportunity, and I appreciate that, to talk about how I think and why I think that Bernie Sanders is the one who speaks with the moral authority, who actually challenges, doesn't just pussyfoot around it, but actually challenges the status quo and talks not only about where we need to be fierce in our no, but also fierce in our yes. And as we do that, we will prepare the ground for the interruption of something that needs to be interrupted. It's not just this country. This entire human race right now is like on the Titanic headed for the iceberg. That iceberg could be nuclear. That iceberg could be biochemical. There are so many forms that the iceberg could take. We must turn this ship around. And what happened in the original Titanic is that the captain of the ship knew they shouldn't go into those northern waters. The captain of the ship knew that what they were doing was dangerous. He was shouted down by the money man. We must not be shouted down by the money man. And we must not be shouted down by the weaver of tales. And one of the tales being woven right now is the electability factor. If I hear one more person saying, well, I got to go for Hillary because we really need the Supreme Court, like the rest of us don't understand that concept and we need to be educated. The extraordinary patronizing and condescension of those who pat you on the head if you're a Bernie supporter, you just don't understand. Oh, we understand. Okay? The electability argument is that Hillary will be elected, and believe me, if Hillary is the nominee, I will be working as hard as anybody else to get her elected. But I would like to take a moment to challenge the electability factor argument. Because who's going to decide this argument is not Republicans. Who's going to decide in the general election is not Democrats. Who's going to decide in the general election is not the old, and it is not the young. It is not the blacks, it is not the Latinos, it is not the women, it is not anybody. I'll tell you who it is the independents. Because the independent voter is now 43 to 44% of all registered voters in the United States. This is all a charade, all of this unholy alliance between the Democrats and the Republicans. The very fact that 43 to 44% of our population is registered as an independent shows that. And among poll after poll after poll, among the independents, their favorites are Trump, Carson, and Bernie. And Hillary is seventh. So I say that not out of disrespect. I have no disrespect for Mrs. Clinton, but I do have disrespect for the corporatized version of the Democratic Party. I remember a time when the Democratic Party had courage, and I just don't understand how we are going to lead the charge in the decorporatization of the country if we're not willing to decorporatize the Democratic Party.